Welcome back to the Stockwell Roche Show. I'm Jason Stockwell with RE/MAX Results.
I'm Tracy Philippi with RE/MAX Results.
And you can always reach us here at 651-400-0773. Jason Light, could you please give your information if anybody has a question about getting that pre-qualification, refinancing now that rates are in the threes, for sure in the threes for many?
Yeah, absolutely. You can visit my website at loanswithjason.com, or the best way is to call me at 612-419-4517. 612-419-4517.
Awesome. And we have with us Chelsea Sonderland with Team Stockwell RE/MAX Results.
Woohoo!
And we have our special guest, Mike Boulette, who is a family lawyer, family attorney, family law, downtown Minneapolis from Maine. He told us how great we are here in Minnesota on the last segment, and we appreciate that. Thank you, Mike.
I always love hearing that from people from other states, because I've lived here my whole life, and I've always thought it's great, other than how cold it can be, of course.
Yeah.
But it's so nice to hear people who have grown up other places that have come here and said, like, "Oh yeah, it's as great as you think it is."
It is. It's the Midwest. It's beautiful. We're recruiting people to come here now. College friends, family members.
Really?
Bringing them away from the East Coast.
But we don't have every time I've been to Boston once, and the lunches and the food and the clam chowder and the lobster rolls, right? I mean, is there any place here that compares,
We have really great food in the Midwest. We don't have what I feel like you guys don't have as much as that really signature regional cuisine, right? Like you go to Maine, you have
cheese curds don't count.
I don't think they quite get you there.
What about hot dish?
That's what I'm thinking. Hot dish. I don't know that you can.
It's close.
Maybe it's close.
Meat and potatoes.
Yeah, that's. If we have winters like this last winter here, the winter we're in right now, more people will be coming here a lot more. I think.
Oh,
will
for
be
sure.
Coming to Minnesota if it's happening like this. But anyway, Mike. So let's say you're out there. Let's say you have a granddaughter, grandson, daughter, son, or in-laws, or you yourself are in a situation where you're trying to work things out, but it's just not happening in your relationship.
The final countdown.
You've maybe reached the final countdown, or maybe you've passed it, or maybe you've restarted the final countdown, right? I mean, I'm on the show here. We're all, I'm married, and 6-year anniversary last month.
Congratulations.
And we're everybody. The goal is to stay married, right? I mean, it's the goal. That's the purpose, right, Mike?
Absolutely. Well, people will come to me, and you'll talk with them at the very beginning of this process, and the first words you say, "That's not my decision," right? I'm not about people getting divorced or deciding not to get divorced. I'm about helping people through a process they've decided their relationship's over, and then how do we do that in a way that is respectful for them, respectful for their spouse, and most importantly, leaves everybody in the best condition, emotional, financial, that they can be in as we move through this process and try and sort out what life looks like as an unmarried couple rather than as a married couple.
Yep. So from a real estate perspective, I mean, that's part of real estate as realtors, right? Mm-hmm. Tracy, we get a call and it's we're selling, or he's moving out, I'm keeping the house and you're refinancing him out, and he's buying somewhere else in the same school district many times because of the kids and all that. But what are some things that could
help through that process?
Yes, make it so that it's. I mean, obviously, reach out to you to consult with someone, but what are some other things that can help people?
Well, I think that when people think about a divorce process, right, they still have in their minds this very traditional process that begins with legal paperwork and proceeds apace with the lawyers making decisions. But when you're talking about the intersection with real estate, there's an important piece of stepping back to think about what you can get sorted and arranged before that legal process jumps into effect. So every divorce, no matter how amicable, no matter how collaborative, is fundamentally a lawsuit, right? You have to petition the court to dissolve a marriage. The court opens a file. That's now public record. But of course, if you want to get the best price for your house, if you want to make sure that you're in a position to sell well, to refinance, you don't necessarily want that out in the public eye. I'll tell you, when my wife and I bought our home, the very first thing I did was go to the property tax records to see who the sellers were. Once I found that out, the very next thing I did was go to the Minnesota courts website and see if they were getting divorced.
Oh,
Why?
wow. Yeah.
Because that's publicly available information, and I now have insight into, do they need to sell? How fast do they need to sell?
Wow.
Is this an acrimonious divorce?
Good tip.
You're a smart one.
Interesting.
You're a smart one, Mike.
Attorney.
Yeah.
So we as agents, Tracy knows, are not allowed to disclose that if we're representing a seller and they don't want us to disclose the reason for them to sell. However, if you're an East Coast guy and you're really smart,
You know the law. You do it yourself.
yes, exactly.
Well, and increasingly, Minnesota's courts are going online, which means it's not just that I don't just get to know the fact that there is a divorce. I might be able to look and see if you've filed paperwork about your house, telling me what you think it's worth or telling me how badly you need to sell. And when people are in a difficult situation, it's tempting to involve the courts to have them try and push sale of a house or prevent sale of a house. But now that information's out there in the public eye, and that's not going to help you get the best price for your property.
Yeah, that's a great tip. That's a tip on both sides,
Correct.
actually.
Yeah.
Tip for the seller is try to work it out so you're not having an open public litigation and it's online.
That's exactly
for
right.
buyers to see. And if you're a buyer, hey, do what Mike did. Search the courts. You can say, hey, we like this house. What's going on? Maybe we can dig it out because the agent isn't able to disclose due to confidentiality and fiduciary duty. The question I have a question too, because I know in Minnesota we had it's very controversial, the same-sex marriage.
Sure.
Is that happening? Divorce the same rate? Or are there any statistics on that as a normal heterosexual couple?
Or is it too new, maybe? I don't.
There aren't any good statistics yet. What we're certainly seeing same-sex divorce in the same way that we saw opposite-sex divorce. They're right now kind of creatures unto themselves because you're dealing with couples that didn't have the legal option to get married for a time, and now they're dissolving those marriages that may only be a few years old, but are relationships that maybe lasted 20 years. So
So
Right.
it's almost like if they were able to be married earlier, they would have been married for over 20 years or something like that.
and many of them did marry or performed commitment ceremonies, but those weren't necessarily
Legal.
recognized in the United States
Right.
until relatively recently.
Yeah, I was curious about that because the divorce rate, I mean, if we want to get onto that topic, is extremely high in the United States, probably all over the world. And, that it's unfortunate to see that, but it's kind of like anything, right? If you get into a car accident, you need to have insurance or you need to call an insurance agent on it, and it happens, right? And this stuff happens, and it's good to have a good resource and you sound like, Mike, I just met you today, but you know what you're talking about. You're very well-spoken, professional.
Well, thank you.
And considerate, right?
And look
I
at
mean,
that tie, man. I love it.
Very hipster.
So
No, I'm just
great.
kidding.
I live in Minneapolis, so I'm gentrifying neighborhoods as we speak.
That's awesome. The other thing too is that you can tell that you genuinely care or have a caring personality because lawyers have a bad rap or perception sometimes, just like real estate people and financial
Never
people.
loan officers.
Loan officers do sometimes, but you have to care because if you're people can see that right away if you don't care.
Well, it's interesting. You were talking in an earlier part of the show about, when the real estate market's great, it's everybody and their brother wants to be a realtor because it's easy money. How
Yep.
hard could it be? I think in some ways, divorce can be much the same way, right? You have a lot of people graduating law school, less so in recent years, but you had a large number of lawyers, fewer jobs. And so if people need to become self-employed, they need to be small shops. What are the few things they can all do, right? They know everybody needs divorces, everybody needs wills, and to a certain extent, DWIs and some criminal law work. So
Well, good.
So, Mike, if people want to get a hold of you,
yes, that's what I was going to say.
how do they contact you?
if they want to find me, they can go to Lindquist website. So that's www.lindquist.com.
Thanks so much, Mike. Thanks, Jason Light, Envoy Mortgage. Thanks,
you.
Chelsea. I'm Jason Stockwell, Remax Results.
I'm Tracy Philippi with Remax Results.
Signing off for the week. We'll see you next week. Remember, love yourself and love others. Have a great week, folks.